Hello. Testing. Let's see if this works. Hello. Testing. Cool. It works. Alt key to pause chat, then point to it. Block user, let us know. Okay, gotcha. Cool. Pop out chat. Alright, so in this stream, I'm going to be updating my game mode a bit. Just going to be restructuring the way it's all laid out to make it easier to update. So just so there's no confusion, I'll just go invite only. And presets. I think that's my most recent. Pretty sure. Yeah. Okay, so variables is where I'm going to start the change. So right now, player variable A is responsible for storing the starting values. B is for cost, and C is for boost. And we have things like D, which is the text, Q, and E, which is player state information. So let me pull all this into a single page so I know what I'm looking at. And menu navigation, Okay. Just trying to keep track of everything. Okay, so now what I want to do is, instead of B being cost and C being boost, I need to make it so that B is level, C is cost, and then D is boost. And then the combination of level and cost, which is going to remain the same now, it's going to determine the actual price. And that is going to have to do some math against maybe a level multiplier, something like that. So, it's going to be fun to try to change up. Alright, so maybe I can just start. So, B should be level, C should be cost. So I'm actually going to change all of these to C. I'm also going to change A so that instead of needing to track the menu index, so A has a few different variables. Well, I would call them indexes. So A is a variable, the index 0 and 1. 1 is the gold, and 0 is is the menu option selected. Now, those don't tie in really well with the level and the cost, so I could simplify the code by making it so that A0 and A1, instead of those storing gold and menu option, just have it start at the first upgrade. So, and what I'm talking about is if I go to anything where, let's say I'm handling the actual upgrade. So, not update menu option, not reset menu option, probably lower. Yeah, process upgrade. You see a bunch of garbage, basically. So, what this is doing is, in order to get the right index, I need to add 1 to it because of there being an offset between array B and array A, with reference to like what I'm actually upgrading. If I have the same index, then it's easy to retrieve the index and pass that in to the separate array, and then I can retrieve the right option, or even set the right option. So enough talking about it. Let's just try some things out. And this is going to be interesting because in order to do this, I'm going to have to rewrite everything, which is no fun, but it's just due to how I initially planned it out and then how I want to have it set up now in order to accomplish what I'm planning on accomplishing. So I'm going to rewrite my notepad a bit. I'm going to make it so that these, it stinks I can't broadcast my computer screen with this, otherwise it might make a little more sense, but basically I'm just keeping track of what belongs to what in a notepad. So this needs to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 for movement speed. Player variable, level, cost, boost, and then this player status, and text queue. So I think the player, or variable A, maybe should represent upgrade, player upgrade variable, to make it easier. Player upgrade variable, level costs, upgrade level, upgrade cost, and then upgrade boost amount. And player status. So why? So we're going to store the gold from then on. So I'm going to move these up. So this first one, it should be 2. Okay. This one should be, what's that set to? 0. Did I put 0.02? No, 2. Oh, 0, 2. So, wait, actually it's 0. It's starting at 0. Alright, even easier. And these are all actually starting at 0, which is super nice. 0. Now this, 8, so I go 2 up, 5, oh, 25. And 9 is 100. And 12, which is now 10, is 0. Easy peasy. So these I can remove for the time being. If I want to add more options in the future, I just add it. So A11 no longer exists, delete action. A12 no longer exists, delete action. So A9 is gold per kill, 8 is gold per second, 10 is movement speed. That makes sense. Okay, so B, which it looks like I didn't actually start at 0 for B. I think I did that mainly because there would be like 2 offset instead of 1, because there are 2 options in front of it. So I guess there are a few ways I could do it. If I wanted to keep the same structure, I could make it so that instead of removing those options, I could keep them on there, but I would just have to offset the index of B by 1. So it depends on how I want to handle it. If I want to keep it all on the player variable, then that would make sense, but if I do want to separate it, which might make more sense for the future, then I might just keep with this. So, how do I want to go about it? Should gold and player index be stored on the variable A? Player menu index, that is. And C starts at 2 for boost. You know what? I think I might keep the structure actually. Presets. Let's reload that preset. And let's offset B by 1. But just to make sure there's no overlap, I want to maybe start at the top. B goes to 12 though, from 1 to 12. A goes to 12, which is interesting. Why does B go to 12 if it starts at 1? That means that there's an additional 1. Oh, it's because, okay, so B, that's the cost multiplier. So it is on the same index. So why do I need to offset? You would think that I wouldn't have to. And boost is just the same. Through 12, E is E. That's fine. Handle uncrouch, handle can modify, that's fine. Update menu option, crouched or uncrouched. Update menu option value. So compare value in array, compare value, that's fine. So this one is just updating that variable. Destroy head text. Skip 2 if it's the max length, otherwise destroy and create head text. Menu option, so that's just reloading the menu options. And so instead of, to make it more dynamic, I might need to use a count. Maybe that's a good reason to change up the structure, is so that it does a count on the amount of options. But the issue with that is I would need to still loop through and check to see if there are options that have a specific value. So I do want to track level. So maybe I still do have to do that. I'm trying to talk myself out of needing to rework everything, but I think I just talked myself back into it. Okay, so let's set these back to 0. So 5 and 10, or 100 rather, and 0. And delete, and delete. So variable A is fine. Variable B is not. So this needs to be removed. And this needs to be updated. So all of these, I just need to -2 from them and make it C. Because C is now going to be what tracks the upgrade cost. And cost isn't going to change, but what determines the cost, it's going to be different. So, yeah, let's try that. C, and this is going to really make it fail for a little bit until I have everything updated. So I won't be able to test this for quite some time. But let's give it a go. 2. This will be C3. This will be C4. This will be C5. C6. Ooh, wrong one. C7. C8. C9. And C10. these C's are the boost. So this is going to become D now. So the upgrade boost amount. So these will be D, and it starts at 2. So this we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to subtract 2 from the index because we're going to do it better. We're going to do it gooder. D1. I know it's thrilling. D2. D3, D4, D5, D6, D7, D8, D9, and D10. All right. Now, this is our text array. This is basically what stores what you have on the screen so that it remembers what to clear. It's really important because if I do destroy all text, well, it destroys all text. So I need to keep track of what information is being displayed on each person's screen. And how you do that is you can populate an array of indexes, and then you loop through that array and clear out of those indexes. Just a second. So what I plan on making this is text queue will be variable z to keep it separate. All right, so let's do this. Z all the way down. Perfect. This controls, well, this remembers state information. So in this, E, so these each control something slightly different, and it's a little bit goofy, it's a little bit weird. So when you crouch, E0 is set to 0. Because why was my reasoning for it? Let's see. So E0 is the crouch state. So whether or not you're crouched or not. If you're not, it's a 1. If you are crouched, it's a 0. E0 is 0. Now, I keep track of the previous state, right? So let's say you're crouched and then you uncrouch. Well, that's going to update. Now, E1, or E2 rather, determines whether or not it actually updates the other previous value, right? So if I'm crouched and then I uncrouch, generally it's going to update, right? Fairly quickly, very easily, but with a caveat. If it's currently populating menu options, it's going to set the can update value, the E2, to 0, which means that the previous state value isn't going to be updated. Now the reason why I have to do that is because I need a way to make it so that it doesn't call on itself while I'm trying to write text to the screen, right? So let's say I crouch and then I uncrouch. Well, if that triggers at the same time, I'll either have one of two options. Either it'll clear out all text if it's within the loop where it's trying to clear out that text array, or it will populate multiple menus. You'll have menus show up multiple times, which is also something that we don't want, right? So, way to combat that, I keep track of that variable, and then in the conditions, I make it so that it's required, or it relies on the previous state value to be different from the current state value in order to trigger, and then it sets those to the same, and then it sets the can update back to 0 or false until the menu is completely done being rendered. Right? So that's how that works. So E, I'm going to make it into, I believe it's Y. And this is actually going to store just player information. So I think this is a good place to store gold as well. So we'll change this to Y. 0 is 1, Y. 1 is 1. And Y2 is 1, which means that they're both the same, they're both standing up, and they're both detecting that I'm in a standing position, because that's how you start, right? The previous value is 1, the current value is 1, and can I update? 1, which evaluates to true. Yes. Okay. And let's actually make some additional E values for gold and menu option, right? So, I went too far again. So, D, Z, and let's copy. Now I want to go back to the top, so paste, because I need 2 additional options. DZE, or DZY, 2, and we're going to modify this. Now Y3 is going to be our menu option. We'll start it out at 0, because now our array starts at 0. Easy peasy. And this will be 4. This is going to be our gold. And we'll start at 10,000, kind of like before. 10,000. Yep. Let me write that down real quick so that I can keep track of everything. Player status, all good. Y3 is equal to menu option. Y4 is equal to gold, player gold. Cool. Alright. So, handle crouch. Disable abilities. What am I doing here? Set ability? Yeah, that's fine. That's just the initiation type deal. So, on crouch, now I need to change this. Instead of it being E, right, because the index didn't change at all, which is good. That makes it even easier. This E needs to be set to Y. That's it. Set player variable at index, event player, Y0 is 0 if crouch. Perfect. Skip if compare value Y2 is equal to number 0. Number of actions to skip is just 1. because there's only one beneath it. And then E, which is now Y, I'm setting that to 0, previous value, but only if Y2 is not equal to 1. Easy peasy. Uncrouch, same type of deal. E, Y, E, Y, 2, number, and E, again, Y. Alright, so this is the easy part. Handle can modify. So, simple enough. Again, E changes to Y. E changes to Y. So this is where I'm checking when if the two do not equal each other, basically. So if Y is different from... So the thing that triggers this is when Y2, ideally anyway, this is how it's triggered. So when Y2 is set to nothing, or rather 0 or 1, right? So when it changes, this should be triggered, and then it checks whether or not the two are set. And it'll only run this logic if it'll only run the logic if the value is set to true, E2, which is the can update. So Y, number 1, is going to be set to Y, 0. Easy peasy. Y2, yes, okay. Update menu option, uncrouched. So this is where it's actually controlling the menu option. So this one's going to be slightly more interesting. So this is triggered only when E1, which is the previous value, is now updated, right? And remember, that value should only be updated when it can update, right? So I'm going to scroll down. Y1 is equal to 1. And then it's going to load these menu options, right? So I'm actually going to add quite a bit to this, because now I need to make it so that if someone wants to disable an option, they can set the level to 0, right? So maybe before I even do this, I need to set up the player variables. So remember, I changed B to C, but I didn't actually populate B. So what I need to do now is I need to populate B. There are 11 different actions. So if I just copy this and paste, go all the way to the bottom, all the way. And there. Okay. And I hit down. I should have the exact same rule as that, which is perfect. Let's go put it here, but we're going to change this to B. And we're going to change the value, because we want the starting level to be 1. 1. Okay, and now I can copy this, and I can paste it 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 50. Oh, pasted one too many. So this is going to be fun. Alright, so let's bring it all the way down until it brings me back to the top, and let's scroll down again. D, B. Same deal, go to the bottom, find B, same deal. A lot of setting up structure like this is just kind of doing, you know? Don't really need to think too hard about it. You just figure out what you need to do and execute. D, Y, B. So I'm getting less options down there, which is good. Y, B. D, Y, Z, B. All right, just a couple more. And you don't really have to. These can be specified in any order. It doesn't matter what order they're created in or anything like that. I do it mainly just to keep it clean, just to make it look nice. Alright, so I'm going to move these all down now that I have them up from the bottom. So here we are. I bet you've never seen gameplay this fun. Oh. If you can call it gameplay. I am technically playing a game. Technically. I believe that one should be the top one. Yeah, okay. So now I need to update this index so that it is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I was at 7, right? Nope. Going crazy. I was at 7. Now I'm at 8. 9. And 10. That should do it for my variables. Easy peasy. Alright, so now that I have those specified, I can go in and, so where was I at in the code? So this is modified. This is not. So update menu option uncrouched. So this is loading the option that is selected and then the default interface when not crouched. Easy peasy. So if 1, our value in array y is equal to 1, y1 is equal to 1, which was the previous state value. which is fine. Oh yeah, this is the just the default. It's loading just the default. So that's easy. E, which is Y now. 2 is set to 0, which means previous value isn't going to be updated. Perfect. And then skip if blah blah blah, variable D, skip if compare. Okay. Count of, so D has been updated. D is now Z, if you remember. So we're going to change that. All these D's will become Z's. Is number blah blah blah. All of the D variables, changing them on over. Z. Subtract count of player variable, blah blah blah. So basically what it's doing is it is taking a look at the length of the index, so how many options are in the index, right? Simply put. And it then loops through it, right? So it wants to find all of the different options, and then it wants to get rid of them. So it removes the index, and then, so it removes the last index within it. And then it removes that from the array. And then it continues until there's nothing left in the array. So what am I doing here? Array number A, index 12. What am I storing in A12? I thought that was movement speed. It is. Why am I retrieving that? One value in array variable. So string run fast string. Compare. It's kind of interesting. Update menu option uncrouched. Oh, because this is the default menu. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So when you first load in, it's loading that. No, that's whenever Y is changed. Y1. Previous is changed. Why am I setting it here? I thought I set all of that in different rules. Create HUD text. Heal and kill. Money. Oh. Oh yeah. My goodness. Okay. I was being silly. So I had forgotten that I actually output the stats in the top right corner. Jeez. Okay. Yeah, it's been a second since I looked at this. Man, it is starting to load slow. So what I'm going to do real quick is, look at that. I'm going to save it because I don't want to lose what I've already done. If it will let me. Okay. Let's save, and we're going to call this We'll call it the updated. We'll call it Tycoon menu update checkpoint. CP1. Tycoon menu update checkpoint 1. Create new. Okay. Back to it. Alright, so that was, I was looking at update menu option uncrouched, because this one has been updated. Why, yes. Okay. So, Y1, Y2, wait, look at Z for the text array stuff. And then, this one, I need to change. So loop if compare, blah, blah, blah. And then after the loop, it's going to start outputting text. So this first one is a reference to the speed, which is actually a 10 now. Not too bad. And then after I append to the array the last index added, last text indexed, or ID rather, I append that to the Z variable, the Z array. So let's see what this one is. This one is, so yeah, we're doing pretty much the same type of deal as before, but this time we're just subtracting 2 from here, and then upgrading, or updating rather, this to Z. D is Z. Let's hope I displayed all of them in order. Oh my, this one's slightly different. Blah, blah, blah. No, this is the same. Okay. 8. Not too bad. D is Z. Same type of deal. Exhilarating. Now, if I wanted to do things better, I could specify a sort order so that they'll display in the same, I guess, way each time. Right now, it does have the potential to display out of order. Let's say if something is taking a bit longer than the other, even if it's called prior, it might write after, which means it'll be in a different order. Right, so, wow, I just jumped straight to 6, huh? What was 6? 6 is move. That's interesting. Do I really? Attack fast. Attack fast is 4. In my updated array. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So I do skip over some of them, like the, is your ult enabled, is your different moves enabled, stuff like that. So D is Z once again. Z, Z, A4. This one will be A3. A3. D is Z. A index 2. D Z index 1, which is health over time. Once again, Z, A, 0, which is life. And append to the array. This might be the last one in this list. Maybe. Z. No, it's not. Alright, so what are we doing here? So this is the money that shows up in the center of the screen. That's no longer A at all. That's actually Y4. Right, so, and this is why I write things down. Otherwise I would forget. A4. Y4, rather. Okay. That was the last one. And I didn't add it to the right place. Oh, this is going to be difficult. Z, 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 D. This is the last one. Oh. And Z. Okay. Y4 is gold. No problem. Easy peas. E became Y. And once again, setting this to Y. Y2, which is again the, it will no longer update previous. We'll wait 10 seconds, or not 10 seconds, that would be horrible. 0.01. Now, when you set wait to 0.01, it actually is going to default to 0.016. I believe that's the lowest you can get. If you put it beneath that, it will just change it for you. Alright, so what was D again? D was the, it was the boost. No. D was, alright, what am I doing? Compare count of, oh yeah, text queue, which is now Z. And destroy Z, subtract 1, Z, again, set player variable Z, to, and this is where it's actually removing the last index within the text array, the Z. Well, now it's the Z, was the D. So Z, Z. So it basically slices the array up, it just removes the last one, and then it loops, and it continues that until there are no things within there. Z is greater. So loop if Z, the length of Z, or the count of, right, how many indexes are within Z is greater than 0. If not, it will continue. And then we are referencing A1, which is money, which is now Y4. So this one I actually set it in a different place. Set it right at the top. Which is kind of interesting to me. So maybe I should change the other one to make them match. It should be fine. Yeah, it's not too crazy of a thing. Y4. Alright, so this one is actually referencing B in it. value in, what am I outputting? Credits, that's it. So credits is the cost, right? So I was looking at B, which was the cost previously. This one is going to be interesting, and this I might not be able to update just yet because I need to figure out the type of math I need to apply in order to generate the right information, right? So basically we want it to go up over time. So that cost will change. But it needs to change based on information in both level and cost, because right now level is set to is variable B or array B, and cost is C. The combination of the two is going to be what kind of determines the cost. So let me think on how I want to do that. A very simple way to do it would be to make it so that level times cost is the amount that it costs, right? So what that would mean is that at level 1, well, let's say something costs 200, at level 2 it'll cost 400, 3, 600, whatever, right? On and on. So multiples of that. Now that would get costly, but I don't know if it would scale extremely well. If I wanted to make it so that the cost was more gradual, I could do level times 1 point, no, not 1 point. I could do level times, let's say 0.5 plus cost, or level times 0.5 times cost plus cost. That would give me, it would make it so that at level 1, if it's 200, at level 2, it would be 300. At level 3, it would be 1.5 times 200, which would mean, actually, no, I'm thinking about that wrong. If it was times 0.5 times cost plus cost, it would be at level 1, it would cost 200 plus 200 plus 100. My goodness. So it would be 300 at level 1, going to level 2. So maybe that's not exactly what I want, because it doesn't default to level 1. It might make some confusion. So maybe I have to do that minus 1. So thinking about it, because if it's 0 times plus, it would be just 200. It would be exactly what you'd expect. So that would mean that at level from 2 to 3, you take the current level times point. So if I wanted to do always with the addition of the previous, could do that, or because I'm getting just added amount. So 3 so let's say I wanted to increment it by 0.5. I think that would be the best way. Okay. So this is going to be interesting. Right, so this is the money, that's fine. Y4's money, Y3's menu option, all that good stuff. change this because we already know the answer to this one. Just changing it to Z, easy peasy. Oh, let's try that again. Alright, credits will be. This is going to be silly. Alright, so we need the value from A. Ugh. In just a moment. Alright, so back to it. So it's equal to string so value. So maybe I need to make it so that instead of one meaning or one being value in array, I would do add immediately, and then yeah, I think that that's how I'd have to do it. So I'm adding so this is just how I needed to do things in order to get the proper index that I was on, right? So that's not extremely confusing. That's just what I had to do, but now I have to do some math, which is a little bit more crazy. So it is going to be the addition, so I'm going to type add of value and value. So what am I actually doing? So I know that this is going to be value in array, player, event player, oops, wrong one, event player, player variable, rather. Variable. And it is C, which is the upgrade cost, and the number is actually going to be a reference to another value in array, player variable. This one is Y3, I believe it was. If I can do this, Y3. Now, Y3 is the menu option that is selected. Not too bad. So what that's doing is it's referring to the actual option that's selected. C is the cost, so we wanted to add that at the end. So we need to get the option that's selected, that option's cost, and add it to, what are we adding? We are adding, oh, this one is where I want to be. Okay, we're going to take the multiple. Can I not? I thought I could. Yeah, multiply. Okay. And it will be... So it's going to be the multiple amount. So how much it goes up each time, right? We're going to set that as... Or I could just make it even more simple on myself and say for each level it goes up. That would be less confusing for people who are modifying it. And it would be less work here as well. No, this is the right way to do it. Okay. So no, it's not. So let's say someone wants to increase by 0.5 each time, each level. Well, this would be a way to do it. So it'd be 0.5 times, but that wouldn't work. It would have to be 0.5 times 1.5. But then when you get to over 1, which is, let's say, it would go up, let's say, 2 times. It would mean that I would need to, like, would the math still hold up? Because, let's see, let's get the handy calculator. So if I have 200, and I multiply it by 0.15, or 1.5, I get 300. That would be level 2. And then again, it would be 450. Now, if I wanted to get the addition, I would need 250 for the first one, or rather the second one, but for the first one, I would need 100, right? So that would mean that if I'm getting the multiple, or rather, I'm getting the thing to add to it, I need, for the first one, 0.5. In order to get that, that would be 0.5 times, so it would be level 1 is 0.5. And that then multiplied by, so what actually it would be, for level 2, I would need, if I started at 0.5, I would never make it over 1 if you multiplied it by itself, because it would get smaller, not bigger. So I think you would do 1.5. You would add 1. So 0.5 times 1.5. That's it. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if this would make it more confusing or less confusing. So what I need to do, because let's say I wanted it to grow 1, which is 100%. That would mean that it would double. So if it, at level 1, it would be 100, which is 200. At level 2, it would be adding 400, which would be 600. That doesn't really scale up though. It just adds more money in a very consistent fashion. The upgrades don't get further and further apart. No, I'm going to keep it just 1.5, which would represent a 150% increase, blah, blah, blah. So that would mean that 1.5 times 3 is 4.5 times. So instead of that, it would be, yeah, I could simplify that. That makes sense. Instead of adding here, I'm going to do a multiply. I was potentially making it overly complicated, and I don't think people would understand it as easily. So instead, I am going to once again retrieve value in index. That's not it. Index. I forgot the syntax. What is the syntax? Value in array. Goodness gracious. That's silly. What do we do up here? This is just money, easy peasy, but the cost is the thing that's a little bit more goofy. So, create string. So, this is going to be value in array. Nope, it's going to be multiply. And this is going to be value in array, player variable, event player, alright, so we're looking for cost, which is C. Value in array. Nope, wrong one. Player variable. This is Y3. Which again is the menu option selected. And I'm going to multiply that by the, and this is actually going to be a number that we haven't set yet, but we'll do it right now. So value in array, if I can spell, in array, player variable, event player. This is going to be an E variable, or rather a Y variable. Used to be E. Did I set this to E? No, okay. A Y variable, or Y, it's going to reference the Y array, the index. We haven't actually set it up yet. It's going to be number 5. That's going to be our cost multiplier. Let me write that down. Y5 is equal to cost multiplier. Not too bad. Actually, I do need to reference the level though, remember. So what I need to do is a multiply that, but first I need to multiply the value in an array. So I gotta redo this. So multiply, and then the numbers I'm looking for is value in array player variable once again. We're multiplying the level, so we'll actually specify the level first. B number is actually, you guessed it, value in array player variable y number 3, which is the option selected. We're looking for the level times, multiply value in array B, so we're multiplying the level times the cost multiplier, value in array player variable event player y number is 5. Not too bad, as long as you take it in segments, right? Okay, so that should be exactly what I'm looking for. Oh, and Z. Okay, that one is done. Alright, so I was on crouched. We got to go back to our player variables, and let's go in there and set up the cost multiplier on Y. And nicely enough, it's like right at the bottom. So when I copy this in, oh, here we go, paste. Makes it difficult because when you go too far like I just did, you can't just get back into it without trying to go through all of them again. It's like that I don't like very much. Okay, so Y, 2, 3, 4, and 3, which is now 5. And the value I'm going to set to 1.2. So now each time the cost is going to go up 1.2 times. Meaning if it's at 200, that would mean that it would be 240 for the next level. Okay, let me just make sure that that's the last one. Yes, okay. Crouched, uncrouched, easy peasy. And maybe I do need to do a subtract 1 from it as well. Ugh. Oh, goodness gracious. The reason being is because at level 1, if you set it to 200 for cost, you would probably expect that at level 1 it would cost 200. But if I do it in this way, at level 1 going to level 2, because level 1 will be 1, it'll multiply that 1 by 1.2, which means it will equal 1.2 times 200 will be 240, right? So at level 1, you probably want it to cost 200. So let's change that. The most fun. So multiply B, Y. So this is where I'm retrieving the level. So instead of retrieving the level, in this value, I actually need to subtract 1 from that value. Now, is there any potential issues that I could run into? Like it being negative? Yes, because the index has the potential to be 0. No, that's not accurate. Nope, yeah, that is accurate. No, that's not accurate. Okay, let me think about this for a moment. So, I'm not actually using I'm using the menu option, but only to retrieve which option within B I'm looking at. And B is level, and level by default starts at 1, unless I wanted to make it 0. I could, and that would alleviate that, and then I don't need to do it. Yeah, I'm going to make it 0. Nope, actually I'm not, because I wanted to make it so that if level was equal to 0, the option would be disabled. So I do have to do that. Okay. So instead of value in array here, this is going to start to look crazy because I'm going to have like 3 math operators right at the top. But it's just what I got to do. Value in array, b, y, blah, blah, blah. So this is retrieving, just to keep in my mind, I got to say this to myself. I'm looking at the level. Okay. Not a problem. So I'm going to do a subtract, actually. I saw it there, but I couldn't get to it. Subtract. And value in array. Oh, wrong one. Value in array, player variable. That's not what I typed. Fair. Well, it has to be what I typed. It's not what I wanted to type. B. Subtract. B. And then this B, the index is equal to value in array player variable y 3 subtract 1. Easy peasy. Subtract value is B, index is menu option. So cost of the option selected minus 1. Or rather level of the option selected minus 1 times the cost multiplier. Good deal. That will do what I want it to. Okay. Now that is just for visual purposes. This is just to make it so that people can see the actual cost. Now, later on I'm going to have to do that same type of deal, just with I have to do the same type of thing within actual logic, so that when it subtracts the cost, it has to check that you have enough money. So update menu option value. So what am I doing in here? So variable e, which was the I believe the crouch, yeah, e10. This is now a y. Button held interact is true, so if they hit the L3 button and this one's an easy modify, so I'm going to just do it, is 1 and filtered array. Can I not just do compare? I think I could just do compare. I think I have that filtered array portion in there and I don't need it. But this is basically just saying, is value in array a number greater than or equal to, okay, so that's not too bad. So basically what that's doing is it's checking to see if the index, right, the actual menu option or menu index is within range, right? So let's say let's say I only have 10 options. I actually have 11 options overall. Let's say that that value is over the amount. Well, then that's kind of bad. I need to set it back to the first option. Otherwise, I have all of a sudden a value in there that doesn't really match with anything. It doesn't trigger any logic, right? So, what do? I know that right now, and let's team all compare. I really don't like that I'm using a filtered array. Why was I doing that? A copy of the specified array within any values that do not match the specified condition removed. That's silly. Okay, compare. Let's do this gooder. Compare. Oh, actually, the filtered array might be good for filtering out the levels that are set to 0. So if I do a count, rather, count of, compare count of, yeah, no, compare count of oh my. Whoops. Compare count of. My goodness. Filtered array. Oh, I messed up that spelling a lot. Filtered array. Whose elements will be counted, a copy of the specified array within any values that do not match with copy of specified array with any values that do not match the specified condition removed. Ah, here we go. Condition is number compare value number is not equal I would assume that because it seems to be iterative, meaning it's looking at each index, that I could just say the value of the index that it's currently on, but it doesn't seem to be the case, which is very weird to me. So compare count of filtered array. Oh, let's say there. Player variable, event variable, B, which is level, compare, condition. Hello, Paladin is my city. How's it going? Yeah, right now I'm just working on updating this so that it's gonna do a, well, right now what I'm working on is it needs to do a count of all of the different values within the array that aren't equal to 0, meaning disabled. If I can do that, then I can have it automatically retrieve the amount of actual options available, and then from that they don't actually need to update this portion. It will update itself because it relies on its own data to generate the thing. It's all data driven, but that does make it more difficult. So filtered array does not match the conditions, removed. So condition is, oh, anybody could. You just got to break it down into simple steps. And by that I mean, like, just say, okay, well, this looks like a lot, but I know exactly what I need to do. I need to make sure that it does a count of everything that is not equal to 0 within the array. Now, if that means that, see, this is where it's a bit goofy, because it seems like it's iterative, which means it takes a look at each index within the array, gets the value, and then does a comparison. But because it doesn't give me the value, it seems like it's not exactly that. It seems like it's something different. So I need to figure out exactly how it loops through itself, and then do thing. So it needs to be count of this is less than value. Actually, it would be that is the count of is, try to make, oh, you should. I would recommend it, and especially if you haven't done any programming before. See, I have a bit of a head start because it's kind of what I do, but anyone who hasn't done any programming, this is a very nice way to get your start. To try out programming, because instead of looking at like a notepad, right, you're playing with a game. That's super cool, right? That's like you get to see some really cool effects, right? And it gets you used to the logic, which is the best part about it. So it's saying that the count of, if that is anything to do with programming. It's a good time to start. And I mean, this, like, again, this is perfect to get your feet wet. Yeah, I would do it. I mean, there's a ton of tutorials out there. I might make one, but a lot of what I'm doing right now in this game mode is I want to make it so that it's very data driven, so that if people wanted to modify the game, they would be able to, without even needing to touch the code, right? So I wanted to make it very easy for people who don't really want to dive headfirst into it. But for people who do, I mean, there's a ton of really good tutorials out there already. So compare to, and I'm going to do array, value in array. Player variable, and it is my y. I need to get the option selected, which is number 3. But I didn't finish up this top part. So let's see. So the count of that, so let's say there are 10 options. It needs to be, so 10. I'm doing this a bit backwards. Send you a friend request. Yeah, definitely. Go ahead. That'd be pretty cool. Output testing is if you need any testers. Oh, definitely. When I usually host these games, I mean, the first thing that I tried to do is I was making the menu-based thing, and it worked perfectly in single player. But when I actually took it to public, I didn't realize that the text indexes, they were stored globally. Even if you even if you just do create text on just a person, it creates that index globally. And the reason that's bad is because the initial way that I was going about clearing out text, I was just removing the last 10 things. Come to find out, because that index is on everybody, right? That index is something that if I just clear the last 10, well, if someone else updated, right, and they had additional text on their screen, it would actually clear out of other people's text, and it would just clear out of menus. So in order to address that, I made it so that I needed to store the actual index of the text that's being sent out to the screen. So now anytime I'm sending anything to the screen, I'm populating an index with that text's ID. And then I clear that ID specifically when I need to for that player. So yeah, having people to test would definitely be helpful because then I don't run into those kinds of issues. So I actually did this a little backwards. Oh, it's anybody can. It just takes a lot of patience. That's the biggest thing. Is you got to have a lot of patience in order to do the thing. So I'm gonna do. This should be value in index. Value in array, rather. Player variable. And y 3. Now this one should be is less than or equal to the count. Nope, just less than. Count of filtered array for player variable. All right. Yeah, I'll go in and just a second. Update menu option value. Okay. Yeah, I'll go in and add you a bit later once I get all this figured out. Or at least accept your friend request, rather. Alright, so less than count of filtered array, player variable, event player, B, compare condition that is evaluated for each. Oh no. Alright, let's try that again. Filtered array, player variable, B, compare the condition that is evaluated for each element of the copied array. If condition is true, the element is kept in the copied array. If the current array element value to reference the element of the array currently being considered, or use the current. I'm gonna go try to make something now. Definitely, yeah. You have to let me know what you make. That'll be super cool. Alright, so use the current array element value to reference current array element value to reference the element of the array currently being considered. Use the current array element value. Is there current? Oh, nice. The current array element being considered only meaningful during evaluation of values such as filtered array and sorted array. Ah, that's what I was looking for. So that's amazing. That is so nice. Gosh. Okay. I'm super happy about that, actually. So compare current array element is equal to, well, actually, we're going to do not equal to number 0. That's easy. Easy peasy. So basically, it takes, let's say there are only 9 things within that the player level that meets that condition. Well, what will happen is it will only count 9, and it will say if that value is, or the selected value is greater than the menu selected value is greater than the count of all those, then it'll not run the logic. Awesome. That's super cool. Current array element is not equal to awesome. Good way to make sure everything is in bounds. So E, once again, was made into Y. Wait. And D was made into Z. So D, skip if, number of actions. So compare count of and then I destroy that z, subtract count of blah 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 z number. Awesome. D will be z array slice z count of, once again, z. Awesome. Alright, so now what am I loading? This is the money. Money is now stored on Y3, Y4. Y4. Modify Z, append. This is the credits. Oh, fun. Which, because I've already done this, I can just take what I've already done. So let's change this over to Z. And what is this? Set player variable at index A0, add value in array, event player. What was A0? That's the menu index. Okay. Gotcha. So I'm actually just incrementing is what I'm doing here. So because that's now not stored on A but Y3, I just gotta update these. Y3, right? Yes. It used to be A0, is now Y3, add 1. Alright. And real quickly, I'm gonna kind of take from this, because I don't want to have to write that all over again. There's no way. Let's move that on up. Create HUD text. This is credits. Oh, was this actually doing something wrong? Add? No, it wasn't actually. I thought that because I forgot that the way that I'd done it before is I was actually modifying the cost, right, instead of deriving the cost. So, slightly different way of doing things. Same effect. So, yep, that's what I want to delete. Okay. I'm going blah 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 blah. Z, B, Y, C, all the good things. Y3 plus 1. Alright, everything's looking good here. Good deal. Now reset menu option. This is going to be actually very simple because of what I did in this one. All I'm going to do is if. So before, if the selected amount was greater than 11, which is the amount of options, right, I would reset it back to, well, 1. What I actually want to do now is, first of all, we're starting at 0 now to make it all match up, and we're referencing y3. This, instead of being the count of less than, now what I want to do is if it's greater than or equal to is true. So I could take this out. So compare and I'm looking at all of the different options that should be available, meaning anything that is not 0 or greater than 0, I should say, within the array. I do a count, and all of those valid options I loop through, I check to see if the option is there. I do a count, and then I compare that to the option selected. If the option selected is greater than or equal to the count, or the option selected is greater than or equal to the count, then it sets it back to 0. All right. Making some progress. This part is going to be interesting, the menu part. Yeah, all these are going to be fairly interesting, but a lot of the more heavy stuff, I've handled that. So this is going to be a lot of copy and pasting, unfortunately. Okay, so now that we are referencing different locations, this E is a Y. Cool. And this is checking for the menu option. Menu option has changed locations. I don't know why it's doing a filtered array. Oh, I'm thinking about redoing all of this. Which is a lot. It's a lot. But it would be better. So what do I want to do? I want to look for... I think the reason I initially did a filtered array was because I wanted to look at all players, all teams compare value in array. No, I have no idea why I did a filtered array. Okay. Well, I was learning around the time, so maybe maybe that's why. I just need to do a compare. Value in array is equal to 1. That's it. So, actually, instead of even doing a compare, I could just do value in array player variable y3 is equal to number, actually 0 now. Yep, just 0. That easy. It's so much better looking. So basically, if I am crouched and if the player variable is equal to 0, then display this, ongoing for each player. So if that becomes true, meaning that value changes to 0, then it will display this stuff. Now, what I need to do within this is I need to make a bunch of skips, which is fun. Basically, skip if condition is true. So what I want to do is if the value is if the value of that option is set to, so the level is set to 0, then I need to not have it as an option? Oh, actually, that will fail because I'm incrementing. That does make it more difficult. That definitely poses an interesting conundrum. Reason being, right, so if I'm iterating through this array, right, with the count, the index, right, I can make it so that it's going to hop down at the right time, but the issue becomes that because I'm using that index is related to that menu option, and the menu option doesn't change. The index, like the menu's options, are still the same. It's just that it's going to loop through properly. So I need to make it so that it's going to... I could do a copy of the index. I could set it so that the filtered array is equal, well, A is equal to a filtered array. Man, that is something. Thinking about it. Huh. And if I was to do it that way, I wouldn't need to do extremely complicated logic elsewhere, because I could just do a dot length instead of a filtered array minus the options. This way would be good because I can make it so that it will display the option as disabled, which would be good, but that's rough. That is rough. I didn't think about that until just now. Oh, that's no fun. So what do at this point? Could make it so that on load it does replace the index. Oh man. This is when you're programming just to have fun. You run into issues like this because you want to just code instead of plan it out. It's good to plan things sometimes. So I couldn't do just that unless I wanted to remove the options based on the indexes returned from a filtered array that contains all of the options that are set to 0, because then I can remove that from the array. But that's also not very good. Could make it so that the text is gray. Hello! How'd it go? I see tried in caps. I take it it went amazing. Ah, no. What were you trying to do? update menu option, crouched or uncrouched. So that's just a loop. Hero deal 2 times damage when not moving. That... I believe there's a thing called velocity, but they all did just 1 damage. Nice. So there is, so let's see, so add condition, I think it's like what, player velocity? Velocity of event player is equal, so what is velocity of? Current velocity of player as a vector. If a player is on a surface, the y component of this velocity will be 0 even when traveling up or down a slope. So I guess if they're not necessarily moving, that would be fine. So if you did velocity of player, so player executing this rule specified by event may be the same as attacker or victim. So velocity of event player is, you'd think it would be, instead of a Boolean value, it would be number. And I'm guessing, because I've never done that, but I would go velocity of event player is equal to number nothing, which means they're not moving. I think. I'm not sure. Then you would do set damage, not damage dealt. What I need is the damage multiplier. So damage, I can spell. Start damage modification. So what does this do? Starts modifying how much damage one or more players receive or will receive from one or more damagers. That's not what I want. I want applies instantaneous damage to one. Nope. Set damage dealt. Our players percentage of the raw damage dealt. That's it. So set damage dealt. Whose damage dealt will be set. Number, and it's a percentage, right? So it would be 2. Potentially. Yeah, I think that's how it works. I do have a damage modifier in here, so let me actually take a look at damage. What am I modifying? Yep, set damage dealt. Add 100. Value in array. Oh, so maybe, oh yeah, it would be add 100 or set it to 200. Yep. So I would do just condition, I think it's velocity, but I'm not entirely sure. It's a percentage. Yes. Yep. So 200 is what you want to set it to. And it's really nice. You can actually click the that center button, the big square button on the controller, the huge one in the center, and it'll give you a little bit of a definition of what you're trying to modify, like that text on the screen there to the left. It tells you. It's really helpful. Disable abilities. Got it. Thanks. Okay. Do the thing. So disable abilities, that's fine. Crouch is. Y2. Handle crouch, okay, handle uncrouch, same type of deal. Handle can modify. Y2. Oop, looks like I got a call. Just a moment, I'll be back. Switch to headset, connect to controller. Cool. Alright, it reconnected. Alright, looks like I'm gonna have to take off. It's been fun. So the next thing that I'm gonna need to focus on, right? Because before I was looking at kind of keeping the menu option selected within range. Now, if I want to do things this way, well, I don't actually need to keep track of that. I was overthinking it. I was thinking that maybe I should get that filtered index, like filtered array, and figure out how many options are within it. And that is a good way of doing things, but only if I'm actually generating the menu option from maybe variables. Unfortunately, you can't store strings within Overwatch at this point. You can't store strings within variables, which stinks. So it makes things a little bit more difficult. I can't dynamically do things as nicely as I would like. So instead of that, because I'm doing each menu option like this, I have the ability to... Well, I wouldn't call it the ability. Because of the structure of the thing, I can make it so that I don't need to count the options, but I do need to skip over the options. I need to make a loop so that when I iterate through the menu options, right? So update menu option value. And here, I need to make it so that if the next option is 0, it skips it. right? I need to find the next index in the array that has a value that is not equal to 0. And then I need to add that amount, that gap, right? Or just set it to the next index, right? So once I have that completed, then I update my menu option, it'll skip over things, and then I can just do a dot length, or a not a dot length, but a count of the entire array. And then it's simple from there on. It's not overly complicated, but I do need to add in the additional logic on each of those menus that if the count of, or not the count of, but the level, which is variable b, if the variable b at index of the option that I'm currently on is set to 0, it skips over the two options, which is adding the index, or adding the message ID to the text index, or the text array. I'm getting my words mixed up. I just skip over those two so that it doesn't display on the screen. And then when I'm iterating through it, it should, and keyword should, skip over the options where that option would be selected. I do need to put a condition within each of the menus that checks to see if the level is not equal to 0. So that's going to be the next thing. But that's it for now. I got to get going. So I will see you guys at a later date. All right, stop broadcasting. All right, I'll see you later now. Now I'll see you later.